So there's a quick overview of what the 6 foundations are. We're going to utilize this flower of life model, or this being just the inside here. This is what's called the seed of life. This is a circle with 6 circles around it. There's a basic geometric model. Some would call it sacred geometric model. A lot of the geometrical formulations that make up our physical human bodies boil down to this mathematic principle, and it happens to be the 6 around the 1, so it happens to naturally fit with my 6 foundations model. So 1, we're going to put here hydration, right? The amount of water that's in our bodies directly contributes to how resilient our cells are, how efficiently they can carry on their metabolic processes. Has so much to do with the cellular integrity, keeping water balance on the inside of the cells and on the outside of the cells. So all the chemistry, the water chemistry that goes into the process of hydration can get really complex, but let's just talk about really high quality water and electrolytes and minerals as part of that process. So H2O. Number 2, building off of hydration, is cellular protection. So when we've got enough hydration going on in our bodies, they're efficient at cellular metabolism, but then there's always food going into a cell and energy and waste product from that food leaving the cell. So in the process of maintaining health, we need to talk about cellular hydration. Right, we are a conglomeration of over 1 trillion cells. So when we talk about body health, we need to recognize cellular health in that process. So of course there's the hydration of our blood and hydration of our lymph system, hydration of our nervous system, but cellular hydration is really where we talk about the breakdown of just drinking a whole bunch of water and actually having our cells live for a longer period of time and undergo the stress responses and the cleaning out of waste material. So that's a connection point between the two. Cellular protection, though, what we're really talking about is antioxidant action. Glutathione, vitamin C, alpha lipoic acid, alpha and beta carotenes, carotenoids, catechins from tea. We're talking about the action of electrolytes, which of course contributes to hydration, right? Electrolytes are minerals that have antioxidant capacity and that also help with metabolic processes by being electron donors to the body. So electrolytes help contribute to cellular hydration and are antioxidants. And then all the other antioxidants, right? Vitamin C, berries, tea, chocolate, these other foods also contribute to cellular protection because they help the cells clean out waste without incurring damage. So this leads us to number 3, metabolism. The efficiency with which we take in food and turn it into energy, turn it into hormones, turn it into positive life experiences, right? The experience of vitality, happiness, joy, boils back down to metabolism and how efficiently we clean out waste and how much nutrition the food we take in has to contribute to our bodies. Metabolism is not just about nutrition. Metabolism is about efficiency. There is digestive metabolism and then there's cellular metabolism. There are 2 sides to this coin. Basically, digestive metabolism in the digestive system happens during the day. Cellular metabolism happens more at night. There's crossovers between the two, but that's a nice simple way to break that down. And this is the difference in enzyme activity being efficient or non-efficient. Enzyme activity is the most important aspect of diabetes. Enzyme activity is the most important aspect of all body processes. Enzymes are responsible for doing all the work in their body. And what enzymes are is they're protein-based molecules that act to break down more complex molecules into usable molecules and then build them up, right? Catabolism and anabolism, breaking down and building up molecular matter into what our bodies need, and then helping the waste to leave the body. So when we're talking about metabolism, we're talking about intestinal health, liver health, enzyme health, and again, cellular, the efficiency with which cells clean out. We bring that up here, number 4, immunity. When there's a breakdown in metabolism, or a breakdown in cellular protection, or a breakdown in hydration, it leads to an impact on our immune system. So all of these things must be in order before we can accurately diagnose an immunological illness. And before we can talk about curing a cold, we need to talk about these 3 things: hydration, cellular protection, and metabolism. Because if the reason why the immune system is sluggish has to do with these, then these are the way to correct it. If it's something else relating to the immunity, like one of the connection points here is probiotic content. Probiotics are beneficial microorganisms living symbiotically with our body systems. They do a lot of the work that helps build white blood cells in our bodies. They support the liver to do its work more efficiently, and so the more healthy our probiotic cultures are, the less work our enzyme systems and our organ systems have to do on their own. Immunity really is the result of, so efficient immunity is the result of these processes working harmoniously. Inefficient immunity usually is a breakdown in one of these processes. So you can use proteolytic enzymes and you can use probiotics to fight off a cold in the same way that you can use antibiotics. You can use antioxidants to boost the immunity. A lot of the immune boosting herbs that are out there happen to have very specialized antioxidants in them. So this is a system of increasing complexity, and of course immunity is pretty complex, especially if we're talking about breakdowns in the immune system that are genetically based or long-term based. But we're going to see as we delve deeper into the system that the immune system can be supported to work efficiently by dietary and lifestyle changes. Before we get into that, number 5 here is hormone balance. The way that, well, what is hormone balance? Hormone balance is energetic and emotional consistency throughout one day to the next. Hormone balance is the result of all of the other aspects of homeodynamics working together in a nice synergistic way. Of course, I forgot to mention over here, between hydration and cellular protection, we're talking about electrolytes. We're talking about pH balance. When we've got a lot of acidity in our body, it negatively affects immunity, and that negatively impacts the hormone system. When we don't have enough water getting into our cells or just in our bodies in general, circulating around, it leads to poor immune function and a sluggish lymphatic system. If we don't have enough movement, that leads to a sluggish lymphatic system. And if we don't have enough water, we just feel angry, we feel nasty, we feel tense and irritable. So that's one way that hydration can. Cellular protection, of course, directly contributes to immunity and how much workload the immunity has on its shoulders. And eventually, metabolic, immune, and cellular issues are going to wind up in our mood. They're going to wind up in our mood. Stress, how does stress relate to hormone balance, or how can we utilize the relationship of stress to hormone function in a positive way? Well, this has a lot to do with sugar, free sugar being in our blood and throwing off the antioxidant absorption of cells. And it has a lot to do with the effect of stress on sugar metabolism. It's the corticosteroid axis, or the axis of the thymus, the pineal, and the adrenal systems. And of course that impacts the pancreas and the liver, and it's getting a little complex, but when we talk about feeling good and having consistent energy throughout the day, it has to do with the cortisol energy system of the body, which is a natural system. Cortisol is not all bad, it's just that when we throw cortisol out of whack, we feel it, and it changes our habits, right? Our sexual habits, our eating habits, our energy habits, our sleep habits. These are all related to the hormone system. So coming up from here, to complete this system, genetic expression. Genetic expression is one of the most cutting edge aspects of supplemental health today. When we talk about the most cutting edge scientific research, it has to do with discovering new hormone pathways. It has to do with discovering the true benefit versus the perceived benefit of specific food choices or herb choices or supplement choices, and whether they work or don't work, and the pathways that they work. And on top of those, one of the most amazing and influential systems of biological study right now is genetic science, particularly in showing how what we do to our bodies today affects how our genes express themselves tomorrow, or 10 years down the line, or 20 years down the line. The big word in genetic expression studies right now, which you probably can't read my handwriting, is epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of the long-term effect of environmental stress on our genetic expression. So interestingly, what they're talking about nowadays is pharmaceuticals and their long-term effect on not just our genetic expression within our lifetimes, but also our children, and how the passing on of our genetic predispositions changes depending on what we do in this lifetime. So if we eat tons and tons of sugar in our lifetime, it is going to increase the predisposition of our children towards sugar sensitivity and diabetes and other issues related to sugar metabolism. If we take a bunch of hormone supplements or animal-based hormones or steroid therapy for allergy ease, then that is possible to have an epigenetic or a genetic expression effect that winds up being carried over in our sperm or in our eggs to the next generation. Chemical overload, all of these things that we think of as industrial based changes in lifestyle and how we live are now being looked at in terms of how our genetic expression changes. Genetic coding that turns on and off enzyme systems becomes affected depending on how old we are. One of the perfect examples of this, for instance, is collagen production in the skin, right? We basically don't make any more collagen after the age of 24 or 26, depending on other factors for that range. So we can supplement with that substance based on that finding. Another really important one to look at is glutathione production. Around our mid-50s, glutathione production drops off dramatically. It tapers off after our 30s and begins to slow down and slow down and slow down. But then sometimes there's almost no appreciable amount of glutathione being produced in the body after the age of, say, 56, 58 years old. Which, if we want to live to be centurions, it's really important then to find out what's the best pathway then for me to supplement my glutathione. Glutathione is made in every cell in the human body, is considered the most important and most valuable antioxidant. We do make it ourselves, but we can supplement with it. There is one antioxidant that might be more powerful than glutathione that has no interest for supplementing because it's so strong. So focusing back on glutathione, if we're not making enough of it, our cells are collecting way too much waste and are moving quicker towards a death period. So if you're around your 50s, you really want to pay attention to how to increase your glutathione levels. And of course, going back to metabolism and cellular protection, because all these work together, glutathione is helped by alpha-lipoic acid and vitamin C and citric acid, but it's also supported by selenium and other electrolytes, and then it's made from essential amino acids, cysteine, glycine, and glutamine. So at some point, if our genes have stopped the enzyme production that makes glutathione from cysteine, glycine, and glutamine, then no matter how much we supplement with those things, we might get the benefit of other aspects of those amino acids, but we're not going to get the benefit of making more glutathione unless we can trigger that genetic pathway to turn back on. So one of the most important aspects of turning genetic pathways back on is proven that it can be done. It's proven that through caloric restriction, targeted caloric restriction, you can turn genetic pathways off or on. And this is really valuable because what they're talking about for these are herbs. They're talking about age-old things like astragalus, reishi mushrooms, cordyceps, chaga mushrooms, schizandra, ginseng. They're talking about these things that have common use, but then they're blending them in very specific ways to target specific gene pathways. It's a very exciting field of supplemental medicine and nutraceutical medicine. This is where nutrition comes out of the kitchen and enters into real medical science. Another way to affect genetic expression through caloric restriction is by regular fasting. It could be as simple as one day a week or periodically, seasonally, not eating for a period of time. That can have dramatic euthaning effects on the body. And what we've found out is that through epigenetic studies of genetic expression, we've found some of the real value of periodic fasting is in that it positively euthans our genes to express themselves in ways that are more akin to how we were when we were younger. This has got some exciting pathways in weight loss, in insulin sensitivity. Remember, what leads to diabetes is insulin sensitivity. It's that our bodies become less sensitive because sugar has has left such a loud signal over so long of a period of time that we become less sensitive to insulin, which overworks the pancreas and reduces our body's sensitivity to sugar in our system. This is one of the ways that, when we do things for a long-term period of time, we begin to become numb to their effects. All types of stress wind up going through this process, whether it's muscular pain or whether it's sensitivity to sugar or sensitivity to our environment. We tend to shift the way we think about it and how loudly we accept those incoming signals. And at the end of all of this cycle is genetic expression. So you could say this is the beginning and the end. What we're trying to affect with this model is cells that live as long as humanly possible and don't die before their time. So, telomeres are basically the hourglass of our cells. Human cells can only reproduce about 50 to 56 times before the telomeres are gone, and that DNA strand can't separate off into two RNAs and make two cells. When the telomeres run out, our cells cannot reproduce anymore. Astragalus, really good for the immune system, really good for the telomeres. Go figure, it reduces the stress on the immune system and it increases telomerase, which is the enzyme that helps to build up telomeres. So, because we have this information now, it's known that astragalus is something that we should be taking every day. Let's see, cellular protection and cellular hydration. Jiao Gulan herb, which is also called Gynostemna, is a Chinese herb that assists in superoxide dismutase production in the body, which really is one of the powerful cellular protectors. We can go into that a little bit later. Glutathione and superoxide dismutase and vitamin C are really powerful longevity formula. So if you've got vitamin C, you've got healthy glutathione levels, and then you've got the result of the glutathione and the vitamin C is healthy mitochondria. We're going to stick that between metabolism and immunity. Mitochondria, remember, make energy in the cell. They make adenosine triphosphate, ATP, in the cell. Citric acid is very important. That's part of that cycle. There's a reason why to eat citric acid every day, meaning lemons or oranges or grapefruits. So, let's see, and hormone balance, adaptogens, and immunity, mushrooms, berries, hormone balance, berries, let's see, everything, tea, and juice. Now we've got a short list of some really powerful supplements. Vitamin C, tea, pretty much helps everything. Green tea, Camellia sinensis, in all of its forms, helps all these systems. Enzymes, probiotics, berries of all kinds, adaptogenic herbs, which take a little learning to learn how to use, astragalus, and jiaogulan. I could go on. I could list off 400 different valuable supplements, herbs, teas, and foods, and ways to prepare them. But right here in this short little set, we've come up with some of the most powerful things that you can do, supplements that you can add to your diet on a daily basis to correct any imbalances in this system. Now, that's the power of using the 6 Foundations model to uncover how the homeodynamics, how the ever-changing system of the body is layered, is multi-dependent, and when you can get those systems working together efficiently, we've got a very powerful model for creating a real sense of vitality in the body. So thank you for sitting through this, and I hope to continue to explain this in writing and in more videos in depth as we continue. Just remember that it can start out very simply in terms of drink more tea every day, eat vitamin C every day, eat vitamin E every day, and it can be very complex in terms of reversing disease states and trying to achieve specific goals using your diet. But what I've seen so far is that all of these goal-oriented uses for this system work. Number one, they work by looking at them in this system, and number two, can be explained in a way that you are ready to hear and can understand based on wherever you're at today with what you do or do not know. You can really learn to uncover real action-oriented choices, things that you can do today based on your budget and based on what you're willing to do.